Hello friends, welcome to GeoEdu channel exploring geological knowledge. In the previous video, we have discussed about composition of magma, what are network forming ions and network modifying ions, what are pyrogenetic minerals, what are the volatiles present in the magma, the role of water, the role of carbon dioxide, how they affect the various characteristics of magma, and today we will discuss about the physical properties of magma. And first we will discuss about temperature. The temperature of magma can be directly measured by the help of pyrometer and a thermocouple, and it is very risky. Harder in case of intrusive magma, as the intrusive magma tends to occur within the earth's surface, so it is harder in case of intrusive magma to measure the temperature. The extrusive temperature of lavas are mostly ranges from 800 degree centigrade to 1200 degree centigrade. The temperature of basaltic magma is higher than that of rhyolitic magma. The temperature of intrusive magma is probably lower than that of extrusive lavas. Increase in water content depresses the liquidus temperature. Some granitic intrusions at 700 degree temperature have been recorded. Temperature of dry magma, that is without water, is higher than that of wet magma. In the limited data that informs that eruption temperature of rhyolitic lava is around 600 degree centigrade to 700 degree centigrade. One of the usual method to determine the magma temperature is the reversing process. What is the reversing process? What happens in nature? Usually the melt tends to crystallize within the Earth's environment. Whereas we can see that during partial melting also the rocks tends to melt, but we cannot crystallize the melt in we cannot take one magma sample from anywhere, and we cannot let it crystallize at lab, because when we are taking the lava, on the way itself it tends to crystallize. But we can reverse the process, that we can take a sample rock and we can melt it. So dry melting of samples give the temperature of 1100 degree centigrade for basalt, 1200 degree centigrade for andesite, and 950 degree centigrade for rhyolites. As the exchange of isotopes between reactants is controlled by temperature, so certain isotopes serves as geothermometer. Then the term heat capacity and heat of fusion comes into picture. Heat capacity is defined as the amount of heat that must be added to raise the temperature of 1 gram of melt. It is important, 1 gram of melt to reach the temperature 1 gram of melt to 1 degree Celsius, and it is mathematically expressed at Cp is equal to, I am taking the pen, 1 gram of melt to 1 degree Celsius. It is important, and mathematically it can be expressed as Cp is equal to dH by dt, where dH is the amount of heat or enthalpy, and dt is the change in temperature. And what is heat of fusion? Heat of fusion is the amount of heat added to a rock that is already at melting point but did not started at melting, and the amount of heat that added to a rock that already at melting point to produce 1 gram of melt. And the heat capacity for most rock is 0.3 calorie per gram. This is an important point, and DH is 65 to 100 calorie per gram. The huge heat of fusion makes ascending magma an efficient means of moving heat through the crust. So when magma ascends, the heat of fusion which releases a lot of heat is is the efficient means of moving heat through the crust. Then viscosity of magma. Viscosity is the as we can tell it as a reverse of fluidity, and viscosity is can be defined as shear stress by shear strain, and unit of viscosity is Newton second per meter square or Pascal second. Viscosity of a melt is measure of its resistance to flow. Factors affects viscosity are composition of melt, amount of dissolved volatiles, that is mainly water and carbon dioxide, and temperature of magma. The compositional control on viscosity of given melt may be predicted to an extent by determining the ratio of network forming ions and network modifying ions. Here also we can see that network forming ions and network modifying ions have their own importance. The extent of polymerization is given by the ratio R, which is the total number of oxygen atoms divided by the sum of network forming ions in the melt. So R is equal to oxygen atoms divided by silicon plus aluminum plus phosphorus. So the smaller is the R value, the more polymerized the melt and more viscous the fluid. On the other hand, the larger the R value, more fluid is the melt and less polymerized. We can say it is less polymerized. Suspended crystals also affects the viscosity. We can give the formula like tau B is equal to tau L into 1 minus 1.65 F to the power 2.5, where Nv is the bulk viscosity of magma, Nl is the viscosity of liquid, and F is the fraction of crystals present in the magma. When F approaches 60%, the bulk viscosity approaches infinity. So the magma at this stage behave as solid, although it consists of 40% of liquid. Here what it is trying to explain that when F approaches, when the fraction of crystals it increases in the magma and it increases up to 60%, the magma does not behave as liquid, it behaves as solid, although it consists of 40% of liquid within it, but it behaves as solid. Viscosity is also temperature dependent. The higher the temperature, the less the viscous. Obviously, when the temperature increases, it tends to increase the fluidity and decrease the viscosity. Temperature is related to viscosity by Arrhenius equation. It is also an important equation to remember. Tau is equal to A exponential of e to the power e by RT, where A is a constant, E is the activation energy for viscous fluid, and R is the gas constant, and T is the temperature. Basaltic magma have higher R value, so less viscous, tends to flow long distance forming shell volcanoes and flawed basalts. On the other hand, rhyolitic magma low R values and more viscous forms steep sided domes. Here in this the relationship between viscosity and temperature is given. Here as you can see, in case of rhyolite, the R value is very less, it is around 2.2, so it is highly viscous, that is around 5 Pascal per second. Here viscosity is given in Pascal per second. And in case of olivine basalt, the R value is around 2.5 and the viscosity is 2. So as the R value is increasing, the viscosity is decreasing. This graph is clearly indicates this one. Here I have given some important magmas with their viscosity in Pascal per second and with their 8% of silica and along with their temperature. Then density. Density is an important property that affects the behavior of magma in various ways. controls whether magma rises through the crust, whether the crystals settle out, or whether the ion diffuse radially. The density of magma varies from around 2.2 to 3.1 gram per centimeter. Density rises with increasing pressure, it falls with increasing temperature. Mafic magmas are denser than felsic ones, mainly because mafic magmas are typically richer in heavy oxides such as calcium oxide, iron oxide, whereas felsic magma are richer in lighter oxides such as silicon oxide, aluminum oxide, sodium oxide. So, density of magma can be determined by several ways, directly at high temperature, but it is difficult, and generally done at room temperature from the glasses that formed from rapid quenching of liquids. Density can also be calculated at room temperature when the coefficient of thermal expansion is known. If V is the volume at temperature T at which density is measured, the volume after heating is heating temperature. First, if V is the volume at T1 and at T1 at which density is measured, the volume after heating temperature is T is given by V1 is equal to Vt is equal to V1 1 plus alpha T minus T1, where alpha is the coefficient thermal expansion and can be expressed as alpha is equal to 1 by V dV by dt. The coefficient of thermal expansion is the relative increase in volume dV by V with increase in temperature at constant pressure. Because the density is the mass per volume, so the equation can be rewritten as rho T is equal to rho 1 divided by 1 plus alpha into T minus T1. I can write here again rho T is equal to rho 1 and divided by whatever is given 1 plus alpha, further is same, where rho 1 and rho T and rho 1 rho 1 and rho T are the densities at temperature T1 and T respectively. Another method is by analysis, chemical analysis of magma, where each constituent contribute some density to magma. So here the density is determined by dividing the molar volume into the molecular weight of the magma, can be expressed as like that rho is equal to summation of mixi divided by summation of vixi, where mixi is the molecular weight of all the constituents present in the magma and vixi is the molar volume. And there is a final method in which we can determine the approximate density of the magma. Here approximate density of magma can be determined by based on the fact that the volume expansion of rock on melting is nearly 10%. So density of magma will be 90% of the equivalent rock. So here what it try to explain that if we are taking if you are taking the density of a rock as 100%, so when it melts, the minerals present in the rock, it will expand to 10%. So the density of magma will be 90%, because in case in magma, the density of magma will be lesser, and when it will crystallize, the density will increase up to 10%. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to my channel GeoEdu, spreading geological knowledge.